The really interesting thing about the hikoi is that it is, in actual fact, got some serious aiders and abettors in the national media. And I include the New Zealand Herald, Radio New Zealand, Television New Zealand, and Stuff in that particular group. These are not just media who are reporting the news. They are essentially aiders and abettors, and particularly the State Broadcasting Corporation, which is Television New Zealand and Radio New Zealand. They've well moved beyond they're having a hikoi, to the point now where they're actually advertising rallying points and essentially acting as the public relations agents for the hikoi organisers. You know, we've reached a strange and pretty pass in this country when the state broadcaster becomes the propagandist for Te Pāti Māori. But that's where we are today. The state broadcasters, along with New Zealand Herald, but not as lovingly as Television New Zealand News, TV1 News, and Radio New Zealand News. But the state broadcasters in particular have become propagandists for an extremist Māori activist political party. And I hope you're proud of yourselves, because when you get closed down, when eventually the rest of us who have already infuriated with the partiality and the bias that you exhibit on a daily basis, and the denial of conservative voices. When was the last time you ever heard a conservative voice on Radio New Zealand? The answer is you never do. Of all their commentators, of all their panel participants, of all their presenters, there's not one, and there hasn't been for years, conservative voice. In fact, possibly the last conservative voice, or somebody who just questioned Jim Mora, they moved him sideways as well, and out of those particular positions. But that's one thing, to deny the rich range of opinion that exists in this country and to concentrate on only one. But when you move into being a propagandist, like TV1 News is for the hikoi and Radio New Zealand, you've lost the ability, it seems to me, to function. You've lost your mandate to be supported by the New Zealand taxpayer. You have so clearly aligned and affixed your news reporting and your editorial content and comment to one particular, and I'd have to say minority view in this country. And although it may be woke, and you are proud of your wokeness, although it may be liberal, although it may be a championing of the more radical interpretations of what the Treaty of Waitangi means in this country, doesn't matter, you're there. Now, you see, at that point, I go as a taxpayer, and I think the majority of New Zealanders go, we don't need you anymore. You cease to play a formative function in this country. We can't rely upon you. We don't trust you, which was sort of part of the conversation we had with Dr. Gavin Ellis yesterday about editorial now parading itself as news, and the editorial from these particular journalists and these particular newsrooms. But we've moved to a stage where we don't need you anymore. It is time, surely, to disestablish Television New Zealand, to sell it to whichever private sector might want to sell it, and to sell also Radio New Zealand News, and sell Radio New Zealand. Why do we need a state broadcaster? And at the end of the day, the answer to that question is it's a subsidy of a particular sector of our society. I've railed about the Radio New Zealand concert program for decades. I do not understand why on earth a bunch of high-minded wankers, basically, can somehow rob and loot the New Zealand taxpayer to suit their particular musical taste. You know, there isn't a Radio New Zealand jazz funded by the taxpayers, or a Radio New Zealand rock station, or a Radio New Zealand rap station, or a Radio New Zealand pop station, or a Radio New Zealand skiffle station, or whatever it might be, dance or trance station. There aren't any of those, but there is one particular program dedicated to the high-minded pursuit of a certain type of classical music in this country. We pay for that. Why? There's no answer to that. I'm on David Longy's side, dead as he might be. He said, why on earth are we subsidising Debussy or Dvorak when, we could be subsidising Dire Straits? He was absolutely right. Didn't do anything about it, but he was right. But no, so they're an easy target. You can shoot the concert program dead. They're like fish in a barrel, that one. But no, I'm going the whole of Radio New Zealand. It has no commercial advertisements on it. It's subsidised 100% by you and me, by the taxpayers of this country. It has declining patronage. In fact, it's least listened to than News Talk ZB. And I think it's now the fourth least. It ranks now fourth in terms of listenership in this country. Not one, not two, not three, fourth in terms of people who listen to it. So why on earth are we subsidising it to 100% to the extent that we are? And why are we therefore being propagandised, indoctrinated, woked by Radio New Zealand News and their current affairs conduct on a daily basis? It makes no definable sense. Sell it. And I say that for Television New Zealand too. One of the things in terms of our conversation with Dr. Gavin Ellis yesterday, we talked about was the multiplicity of news sources that are out there. They aren't just national, they're international. We can, in a moment, in a thrice, with one touch of one button on our computer or on our phone, we can access news from around the globe. And I have to say, a damn sight more professional and backed by fact, dual content and research than anything we can get from New Zealand. But we can access that. There's a multiplicity of news sources in this country. There are a multiplicity of opinion sources in this country, dear Lord, and there are a multiplicity of information networks that are available to New Zealanders. Then explain to me why, please. Please, 0800 33 2283, text 5050. Explain to me why we have a state news function when it is so clearly and heavily dominated by people from the left side of the political spectrum who are determined to impose their particular representative view upon all of us, irrespective of whether we like it or not. Now, you see, I don't mind them having an opinion. I don't even mind them ending up working for a news outlet. I don't mind them, in actual fact, being the propagandist for the Hikoi and Te Pāti Māori for the last couple of days and presumably for the next 7 or 8 as well. I don't mind them doing that. Just don't do it with my money. You know, go into a commercial operation. See how you go then. Because most Maori radio stations don't make any money. In fact, I suspect none of them do. They're all propped up by the taxpayer through some sort of treaty obligation for te reo and Maori broadcasting, although there's bugger all te reo, you've got to say, and a lot more people who are just grifting off the words Maori broadcasting. But put all that to one side. There's your place. Off you go. And now let the market determine. Let listeners, readers, viewers determine which are the commercial and media enterprises in this country that survive and which that don't. Don't try and skew the battleground by deciding that you are simply going to apportion money, my money, everybody's money in this country to one particular group with one particular very entrenched and long indoctrinated viewpoint. So there you go. No, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. You can go now and get blow-by-blow commentary, propaganda on an actual hourly basis from Radio New Zealand News and Television News. There are the leaders of the Maori Party. Of course they are. The whole Hikoi has been organised by the Maori Party. There's the leader of the Maori Party and all their followers having essentially a state-funded, state-paid voice. Now, they refuse to talk to the platform. They refuse now to talk to the New Zealand Herald. But of course they'll talk to Television New Zealand and to Radio New Zealand, the Te Pāti Māori leaders. Why? And leadership? Because they're getting free coverage, courtesy of the New Zealand taxpayer, paid for, promoted, propagandised by the New Zealand taxpayer. And that's what Radio New Zealand News and Television New Zealand News are doing to you now. All right, that's it. It's all over. Gone. Get rid of them. If you want to play that game, Radio New Zealand News, if you want to play that game, Television New Zealand News, we'll take your funding away from you. Let's see how long you survive in the open world of communications, in the competitive environment of news gathering, news relay, and opinion forming. Let's see how long you survive. You won't get till Christmas. Dear God, you won't get to lunchtime. You won't get to lunchtime. That's how it is. Gone by lunchtime would be literally true. So I'm just suggesting that we need to lead a movement, and that is defund Radio New Zealand and Television New Zealand. Sell them. Somebody will buy them. I anticipate, God, somebody bought stuff. Mind you, it was only for $1. But, let them take over the debt. Let them take over the responsibility, and off you go. Let's see how long you last. And the answer to that question will be until lunchtime.